Well, you made it. This is the last session of the Beginning Life Together series, and we are so grateful for your faithfulness and your willing to stay the course. This session is the last in this series. It is titled Surrendering Your Life for God's Pleasure. It's a time to celebrate where you've been and to look forward where what might be next for you as a group. It's also a time to think about God's final and ultimate purpose for you. It's the purpose of worship, surrendering your whole lives to Him as an act of worship. It's His full pleasure that we desire to seek, and this one is going to take you there. Now watch as Steve Arterburn shares with you, our teacher today, his heart and hope for this particular session.
You know, I think more than anything, I hope that people in the group will ask themselves a question. Is there some area of their life that they're kind of holding back on? Or is their life not fully surrendered because maybe God didn't come through for them? And they haven't fully trusted God because there was some heartache or some pain in the past, some miracle that God didn't perform. And if they could look at that and acknowledge that, then hopefully from this session, they could move beyond that and fully surrender all that they have for all that He is.
I want to cover 3 topics with you today. The first is preparing your group to move forward. If your group is staying together, hopefully you've already chosen your next study and have brought the study guides and the DVD to show them. Question 8 in this session gives you a chance to take another look at your group agreement. Now in that, you can see what you might want to change and what you might want to keep for this next season. But make sure you seek to try to keep the values of balancing and building health in your group, not just what is leaning towards fellowship or towards discipleship, of learning in God's Word. We want to balance out the other purposes of ministry and mission. Are all the values working for you? Are there some ways your group could improve by changing your expectations or even living up to some of these values that you set out the first time? You can make people feel safe by talking about things that they want to improve by first asking them what they've liked about the group and then maybe 1 or 2 things they'd like to build on. Just set a positive tone and then make people talk about things respectfully and not necessarily disagreeing overtly, but being able to talk, what do we want to do next? And what is one thing that we might be able to change? Everyone understands that they're speaking in confidence and they won't have to talk outside the group or something like that. But the goal of this is to be able to help people cultivate health and to be able to have everyone participate so that it becomes not just your group, but their group even more. One thing people might want to change is the roles or the responsibilities that they took in the group that they picked up on session 4. Maybe for the next 6 weeks, the person who's been handling the prayer list would like to swap with the person who is leading the worship time. Or maybe you want to add a worship component because you didn't do it previously. Let people know that the group belongs to them and they have a say. One of the most challenging things and the most developmental things for a group in the Doing Life Together series is to really believe in one another, to be able to have each member participate in sharing the leadership of the group or the facilitation. You've seen after only 6 weeks, it doesn't take a skilled leader or a perfect leader or even a person who's a gifted teacher. We're bringing that to the group. It's kind of, as we're saying, the blockbuster video small group series. It's just add member, not just leader. So please, pull out the calendar and have everybody sign up for what could be this next in the series. But say that you're going to come after them and you want to develop everybody over time to facilitate one of the evenings together. The second important topic is really celebrating. You need to party. You've accomplished something, whether it's taking you 6 weeks or 8 weeks. But whether your group is ending or continuing the meeting, have some extra, have just extra food that really is celebratory. Or something you might want to go out and just kind of have a great time together on the town. If you haven't already had this social event, make sure it happens either this next week or the following week. You want to have fun together, and it's so important to be able to build strong relationships. We did this recently in our group, and a few of the couples weren't sure they were going to continue. But after our social, not only did they continue, they brought a few other folks in our group. The third topic is the surrender exercise in question 9. And this is going to come on home a little bit closer to the heart for most people. You might want to turn to that page right now and take a look at it. People are often shy to talk about with a whole group about an area of their life that they feel like they need to surrender to God. And maybe your group has been around for a while and you could do this. But even still, we want to push this another level. So what we've done is we've set this up to be able to do in pairs what we what we're calling spiritual partners, someone that you can talk to even more deeply and have a little more airtime with just 2 people versus 12. The other studies in this series give more ways to use this spiritual partnership and to build up the spiritual health of individuals. You might want to select the people they pair up with, but try to do it men only and women only so that folks will share a little more deeply. This is just a taste. You might want to help pair the people up, as I said, so they feel comfortable, but try not to have couples just do this. Try to have it kind of get mixed up a little bit. You don't want people to have the experience like they've had in elementary school where they feel like they're the last kid to kind of be picked on a sports team. And if they don't feel comfortable praying out loud, then they can just pray silently for their partner. Now, one thing I'd like to talk to you as a leader and give you kind of a challenge that would really help your church if it's anything like our church. I'd like you to consider being willing to possibly take a week to maybe 6 weeks from a break from that existing group and to be able to go and help gather a few folks that are unconnected in your church or a few folks out of your group to be able to start another group. Just get it launched, love on them, and then let them fly. And come on back to your existing group. It will model the full cycle that we have tried to teach you in this series. But you are probably the most likely candidate to be able to do this for your church, for your pastor, and for the modeling sake of your group. There's a guy named Stuart in our church. He was trying to get his group to be able to welcome new people. They weren't quite ready. But what he did is he said, I'm willing to go ahead and go try this. So he went and did it for a few weeks. A few people stepped up in the group for a few weeks, got it started, raised up a new leader, gave him the new curriculum, and then he came back on home. It was a great example of a gift you could give your church. Please seriously pray about that for your surrender exercise. Now I'd like you to hear a final few thoughts from Steve about this particular session.
Well, I think it's important that as leaders, we show people that there is a form of leadership where we do all the stuff that looks good. But true leadership is where we humble ourselves and we serve others. And I think that shows people the path to take to surrender. You can talk about surrender. 1 Corinthians 13 says you can talk so great you can sound like an angel, but if you don't actually implement things in your life, it's not going to be worth much. And in this area of surrender, I think we have to show people that we've surrendered. And we do that by presenting a model of servant leadership. It is the truly surrendered leader, just like Christ totally surrendered his life to lead us from a servant perspective, giving up all of his rights. We need to do the same. And when we do that, we grow up great servant leaders underneath us.
Well, congratulations for completing this study. So many groups have told us about the great places God has taken them as they've moved faithfully through the process. And I hope you've had that kind of same experience. We'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to email us so that we can tell all the hundreds, thousands of groups that are doing the same thing all around the world what's happening in your group. All you need to do is send us a simple email at lifetogether.com. And we'll also plug you in with other groups that are doing the same thing. And you can hear the heart of what God is doing all around the world. We're so grateful that you've chosen to do the Doing Life Together series. We hope that it's helped to bring the purpose to life for you and the members in your group. God bless, and we hope to see you in one of the next series.